According to the latest South African credit stress report produced by 8020, a consumer analytics and research company, the South African middle class uses up to 70% of their entire income to service debt. And in the quarter ending June 2023, there has been a significant increase in the number of defaults, which is the failure to make the required payments according to your initial agreement with your credit lenders. This paints a grim picture of the credit landscape and a grim picture for the South African middle class. And today I want to talk to people who want to get out of this debt cycle, people who want tips on how to move forward. So let's get into it. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the Money Chat segment. My name is Slali. If you're savvy, thank you, homie. If you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button. Today I'm going to give you 5 steps you can take if you're in a position where you're overwhelmed by debt. You form part of the statistic of the credit stress report that I've explained, and you want to go forward and you want to get yourself out of debt. So I'm going to give you 5 steps that you can take towards paying off debt. Now, the one thing I want to get out the way is intuitively you might think that to pay off debt, the one thing you might need is to increase your income, and if you just have more income, then you'll just pay off debt. But this is not how the psychology of money works. If you are already in a position of having too much debt that is more than your income, it shows that you have a proclivity to incurring debt, and the likelihood is if you get more income, you will likely get more or rack up more debt. So the steps that I'm going to talk about speak more to financial discipline to get yourself out of debt. Making more income is good, and this is something we can talk about later, but today I want to focus more on financial discipline, right? Now, the first thing you want to do on your journey to paying off debt is to get stock of all your debt. Know how much you owe, who you owe, and at what interest rate you owe them. And then visualize for yourself by either writing down, get a book and a pen and write it down, or create a spreadsheet or anything that can help you visualize, where you can actually see how deep you are in debt. And then create categories for your debt, categories of ascending interest rate, and then a category of the amount of debt from lowest to highest debt that you have. Look at who you owe. Is it unsecured debt? Is it secured debt? The likelihood is that the highest interest rate that you'll have will be unsecured debt, and then the lowest interest rate you'll have is secured debt. After you visualize, this will catapult you into action. I can promise you this. Seeing things clearly is more effective than noting things in your head and just going about life. So this is the first step you want to take. The second step you want to take in paying off debt is to prioritize paying off debt over savings, except emergency savings. Now, I say this because if you completely prioritize paying off debt and then life happens, because life does happen, your geyser will burst, your tire will puncture, something will happen. If you're in a position where you have not been putting any form of buffer to cover those things as they happen, then you'll likely seek more debt. But I'm talking here to savings like holiday savings or savings for anything else, or just saving for the sake of saving, because this is what we do as well. I would say that you would rather pay off debt than keep money in a savings account, because I can assure you there is no savings account that you get that will have a high interest rate just as your the highest interest rate debt that you may have. So if you're saving, for example, the maximum savings interest rate that you can get in this country, I think, is around 11%, but interest rates for unsecured debt can go up to So it's like 14% plus the repo rate. The repo rate is 8.75% at the time of recording, plus 14%, that will be around 22.75%. Now imagine that you are saving and you think that you're progressing in any way, but you are keeping debt that is racking up so much interest rate at 22.75%, let's say. You are missing out, and saving becomes a futile exercise, right? So what you want to do is to just keep a buffer, just enough for your emergency fund, but prioritize paying off debt than saving for any other thing. Because, like, for example, let's say you own 10,000 rand, and that 10,000 rand, if you pay it off within 12 months, you will need to pay back 12,275. But if you have goals of saving 10,000, you will only manage to save 11,000. So in essence, you're going to be losing the difference. So you see how much of a futile exercise saving while you have high interest rate eating up your money is. So this is what I would say: prioritize paying off debt over saving, but do keep an emergency fund just in case anything happens, so that you don't get into more debt to attend to emergencies, because emergencies do happen. That is life. That's how life is like. Now, the third thing that you want to do in paying off debt is to trim your budget. It ties in with the previous one. You have to trim your budget, get rid of unnecessary things on your budget. Have a look at your budget. Look at your needs, look at your wants. Maybe you cannot cut on your needs, but you can sacrifice. You can make sacrifices on your wants. Because debt is a pest. I like to think of debt as a pest. It's a pest that eats the fruit of your labor. And think of a farmer. You cannot imagine a farmer who's going to toil hard, working to plant crops, water them, grow them, buy manure for them, nurture them, and then just watch when a pest comes, or when there's a pest attack on his or her produce. No, you can't imagine that. I can't imagine that. And I hope you cannot imagine that as well. So I like to think of debt the same way, because high interest rate debt eats away a lot on your income. You had the statistic. Imagine working only to pay debt with 70% of your income. That is a lot. And if you can't imagine a farmer sitting, being entertained on their phone or anywhere while watching pests eat away his or her produce or his or her crops, then you should not be able to imagine yourself keeping all sorts of fluff on your budget. Fluff is things like subscriptions that you do not really use, or overcommitment to subscriptions. Like, for example, your gym subscription. If you know that you don't go to gym at least 3 times a week, or even just once a week, I don't see why you should keep that gym subscription. And even just putting 100 rand more into your debt will go a long way in killing the principal amount that you owe. Because if you keep paying just the minimum, you're likely just working for interest, right? So you want to trim your budget so that you avail more money towards killing off the debt. Other subscriptions that you might want to cut off are entertainment subscriptions. Not to a zero, right? Because you're going to set yourself up for failure if you do not leave something that will entertain you on your days from work, and you're tired from work and you just want to unwind. You're going to set yourself up for failure if you leave nothing at all for that, right? But what I am saying is you can make a sacrifice just to attack this pest that is eating at the fruit of your labor. So you don't need every subscription. You can keep one. Keep the one that you really like. Look at how you spend your day. What do you do when you come back from work? What's the first thing that you do? Do you watch every single subscription that you're subscribed to? Most probably not, because where do you get the time? You don't have that time, I can assure. I can certainly say that you do not have the time, if you have a 9 to 5, to be watching every single thing that you're subscribed to. So keep one, or keep 2 at the very most, of the things that you really love, and then get rid of the other ones, so that you can free up money to kill this the pest. The pest, get rid of the pest. The pest is more important to attack than to just sit dormantly and watch your finances go up in smoke, right? So that's the one thing you want to do. So we've now freed up funds that we can use to pay off the debt. Now that we've freed up some funds that we're going to use to pay extra on our debt, the next step that you want to take is to develop a debt payment strategy. Now there are two strategies, or two common strategies, that I want to bring up here, which are the snowball method and the avalanche method. The snowball method is one where you rack up, you already have a list of your interest from of your debt from lowest debt to highest debt. Take that list and use your free cash that you have freed up from the last two steps and attack your lowest debt. The concept behind the strategy is more of a psychological one. The idea is that once you start paying off debt, the more motivation and kick you're going to get to be able to keep on and keep attacking your debt. The only drawback to this one is if you leave your highest interest debt for last, you might spend longer paying off debt. But the more you pay off debt, the more motivation you'll get to keep going. So this is the concept behind the snowball method. Another positive thing about the snowball method is as you use your extra money to pay off debt, as you get rid of that debt, then you use the free amount that you use the amount that you used to pay off the first debt that you have paid off into the second debt, because you no longer have repayments for the debt that you have paid off. Now you can use that extra money that you have freed up to pay off your second debt, and then it keeps going like that. The more you free up debt, or the more you pay off debt, the more extra cash or extra funds you have in order to attack the next one. So it goes like a snowball, like that, like a snowball running down a hill. It gains momentum as you go because you are freeing up more money to be able to attack more and more debt. So that is how it works, and it is really fairly a good strategy to tackle debt. It's fine enough. Now the second method, like I mentioned, is the avalanche method. The way the avalanche method works is you attack your highest interest rate debt first. You already have a list of your debt according to interest rate. You attack, in the avalanche method, you attack or you start paying off your highest interest rate first, and then you end off with a debt that has your lowest interest rate. So usually, like I said, you might start with credit card debt first, because that is likely the highest interest rate debt you might have, or personal loans or something, and then your secured debt, which will likely be the debt that has the lowest interest rate, you go for that last. So the strategy or the concept behind this is it works out mathematically, and you will spend less time paying debt that way, because the longer you do not pay off high interest rate debt, the more you will take paying off debt. Now the drawback to this one is it's not going to work out for your psychology, in that it's going to delay gratification but it works out mathematically. So it's going to delay your gratification in that your highest interest rate debt will probably be the most difficult debt to pay off. But once you do pay it off, then you've got the momentum going, and that will give you motivation, but it will not give you motivation as quick as the snowball method. But this is a very effective method. If you have will, this is a method that will work out for you much better mathematically, so that you don't spend a lot of time paying off high interest rate debt. And just like the snowball method, once you pay off your high interest rate debt, then you use those installments or those repayments that you used to use to pay off other debt. The next highest interest rate debt that you have on your list, you pay that off using the repayments for that debt, as well as the repayments that you used to use to pay off your highest interest rate debt, right? So it also kind of works out like the snowball method, only that it will take longer for you to pay off your first debt, which is the debt with the highest interest rate. But if I was in a position of having to pay off debt, I probably would go for the avalanche method, because just mathematically it works out better than the snowball method. The snowball method works out better psychologically than the avalanche method. And I should mention here, there are other forms of debt payment strategies like debt review and debt consolidation. But personally, those are methods that I do not like. Those are methods you want to take if you are in a dire situation that is unleverageable, that is unsavable, you know. So I won't mention them here. Maybe I'll make a video later, at a later stage, to give an honest and balanced view of those methods that is more factual, and maybe that has less of my personal bias against them. So I'll talk about those in another video, but today I just want to stick to the avalanche and the snowball method, right? So do stick around. Now, the next step that you might want to take, that I want to suggest, and remember, I'm not a financial advisor and none of the information shared in this video constitutes as financial advice. This is a step you want to take if you trust yourself to be a very disciplined person, and it might only work if you're a person who has a good credit score. Now, I've created a video on credit scores before. You can go check that out, on how to build up your credit score. Now, this is using lower interest rate debt to pay off high interest rate debt. So something like a personal loan, for example, to pay off credit card debt. Now, the nice thing about a personal loan is that it is an installment debt, and it is to be paid off at a definite amount of time, which helps you with accountability, right? Whereas, or compared, in contrast to a credit card, which is a revolving debt, you don't have to pay it there's no defined time in which you need to pay off your credit card, and it is always available to you. It is revolving, which is tempting to keep you into debt. So what I mean by that is, if you get a personal loan for 100,000, for example, you have that 100,000 and you use it for whatever you use it for, and that's it. Whereas with a credit card, if you have a credit card balance of 100,000, for example, you keep paying it off, but it is perpetually, the 100,000 is perpetually available to you, which, if you are not a very disciplined person, you might always find yourself in debt. So credit card debt is very dangerous, right? So in this with this step, or with this strategy, you might wanna, if you have a good credit score and can qualify for low interest rate debt. For example, my bank always makes me offers on my banking app of personal loans, which change every other month. But this month they made me an offer of debt at an interest rate of 16.75%, which is prime plus 5%. Yeah, right now, as at the time of recording. So I would imagine, if I was in a position of debt and I know that I am a disciplined person, I might take that debt, which is at 16.75%, and pay off my high interest rate debt, like credit card debt, which is usually at maybe like at 22.75%, and save on, how much interest in that is that? That's 6%. You save on 6% interest, and you'll be able to tackle your debt quicker. You understand what I'm saying? And 6% is a lot. Like, imagine, let's use that 100,000 as an example. If you have credit availability on your credit card, or if you owe a credit balance of 100,000 on your credit card, and at a percentage, at an interest rate percentage of 22.75%, and you take 12 months to pay it off, in 12 months you will need to have paid 22,750 more over the 100,000 that you borrowed. Whereas if you would take that 100,000 loan and pay off the credit card completely, and pay off the personal loan in a year, you will pay interest of 16,750. So that's you saving around 6,000. This is just an example of how this may work. So if you are a very disciplined person, please, if you're a very disciplined person and you trust yourself that when the personal loan money goes into your account, you're going to direct it exactly where you had intended, and you're not going to make a stop at the mall, then this step can work for you in saving you from high interest rate debt. And like I said, the nice thing about a personal loan is that it is an installment. It's an installment kind of debt, and you need to pay it in a definite amount of time, and you do not have access to get more 100,000 or keep going into debt. It is definitive. This may help you keep you accountable, and this may help you build up towards paying off your debt at less cost and in less time. Whereas a credit card, if you keep paying your minimum amounts, the 100,000 is perpetually available. It's gonna tempt you to keep getting more and keep going more into debt, you know. Guys, these are the steps that I think can be helpful if you're trying to get out of debt, if you follow them. I hope that this video has been useful to you. Please subscribe, please leave a comment. If you like this video, please do actually like it. If you have any more tips on how people can pay off debt, please leave it in the comment section. Let's engage. Guys, I will see you in the next video or vlog, whatever it will be. Bye.